Officer Bradley leaned back in his patrol car, sunglasses on, chewing gum, and scanning the road like a hawk, looking for prey. He wasn't a bad cop, but he sure acted like he ran the whole department. He enjoyed pulling people over, especially ones who didn't look like they belonged in his small southern town. That afternoon, a sleek black SUV cruised past him, maybe 10 miles over the limit. That was all the excuse he needed. With a flick of his switch, red and blue lights flashed to life, and Bradley grinned as he pulled out behind the car. The SUV slowed and pulled over smoothly. Bradley got out, puffing up his chest, and walked to the driver's side like he had something to prove. He tapped hard on the tinted window. It rolled down slowly, revealing a calm man in his late 30s, wearing sunglasses and a blank expression. "License and registration," Bradley said, in his usual sharp tone. The man said nothing, just reached into his jacket and pulled out a black leather badge holder. He flipped it open and held it out. "FBI, gold, and real. Special Agent Cole Matthews," the man said. "You're making a mistake." Bradley squinted, acting like it was some kind of prank. "Nice fake badge," he muttered. "Step out of the vehicle." Cole didn't move. "Are you sure you want to do this?" he asked, his voice calm but firm. Bradley's ego wouldn't let him back down. He yanked open the door and reached inside. In one clean, practiced move, Cole grabbed Bradley's wrist, twisted it, and pinned him with barely any effort. "You've just interfered with a federal investigation," he whispered. And just like that, the arrogant cop's world began to crack. Officer Bradley stumbled back, holding his wrist, stunned by how quickly he'd been overpowered. The calm man in the driver's seat, now clearly not someone to mess with, stepped out of the SUV with quiet authority. He held up the badge again. "Special Agent Cole Matthews, FBI. You just interfered with a classified operation." People had started to gather nearby, watching the scene unfold. A few already had their phones out, recording. Bradley's face turned red, more from embarrassment than pain. "You can't just manhandle a cop," he barked. Cole didn't even blink. "I warned you. You ignored it." Bradley tried to regain control. "I'm detaining you until this gets cleared up." Cole raised an eyebrow and said firmly, "I'm on an active investigation. You just blew my cover. Do you realize the damage you've caused?" Bradley hesitated, unsure of what to say, but still unwilling to admit fault. Before he could speak, a black sedan pulled up fast. Two men in suits jumped out, flashing identical badges. "Agent Matthews," one of them said. "You all right?" Cole nodded, then turned to Bradley. "This officer detained me mid-surveillance. I had a suspect within 5 minutes of here." The suited agents looked at Bradley coldly. "You've just compromised a federal operation," one said. Bradley stammered, "I didn't know." He didn't look like an agent. That sentence hung in the air like poison. Cole looked at him one last time and said, "You judged a man by his car, his clothes, not his badge." Just then, the town's police chief pulled up, eyes wide and worried. He rushed over and froze when he saw the scene. "Agent Matthews, what happened here?" Cole didn't raise his voice. "One of your own just made a mistake you can't undo." The police chief's face went pale as he listened to Agent Matthews explain what happened. Other officers had arrived too, now standing awkwardly in silence, unsure of whose side to be on. The chief turned to Bradley, clearly furious. "You manhandled a federal agent during an active investigation. Are you out of your mind?" Bradley opened his mouth to defend himself but stopped. There was nothing he could say that didn't make him look worse. Cole handed the chief a sealed folder. "This is everything your department needs to know about my operation. I was tailing a dangerous cybercriminal operating just outside this town. Your officer just blew 3 weeks of surveillance." The chief took the folder with shaking hands and looked at Bradley, disappointment etched into every line of his face. "You're suspended immediately. Turn in your badge and gun." Bradley's jaw dropped. "You're taking his word over mine." The chief turned on him. "He's the FBI. You embarrassed this entire department." Cole didn't gloat. He simply stepped back, letting the chief handle it. One of the agents in suits approached Cole and whispered something. Cole nodded, then looked at Bradley one last time. "I didn't come here to make enemies. I came to stop a criminal. But thanks to you, we may not get another shot." As the agents got back into their car, the chief ordered Bradley off the scene. Whispers among the other officers grew louder. For years, Bradley had acted untouchable. Now he stood alone, powerless and humiliated. The badge he used to flash with pride felt like a joke now. And somewhere out there, the real criminal was getting farther away because of one man's ego and ignorance. The fallout from the incident was swift and brutal. Within hours, the entire town knew what had happened. The video of Bradley trying to arrest an FBI agent had gone viral, spreading like wildfire across social media. People laughed at how confidently he tried to take control, only to be shut down in seconds. The town that once feared or respected Bradley now mocked him. At the police station, morale shifted. Officers who had once followed Bradley's lead kept their distance. No one wanted to be associated with the cop who became a national embarrassment. Meanwhile, Agent Cole Matthews stayed focused on the mission. Despite the setback, he pushed forward with the help of the FBI and select local officers who actually listened. 3 days later, they finally tracked the cybercriminal to a hidden location outside town. The arrest was clean. No attention, no mistakes the way it should have been. Cole didn't ask for credit. He simply did his job and filed his reports. Back at the station, the police chief held a quiet meeting and made it clear. Professionalism mattered more than pride. Bradley's suspension was made permanent. He tried to appeal, claiming he was set up or misunderstood, but nobody was listening. Even his friends had turned their backs on him. Stripped of his badge and uniform, Bradley was forced to take a low-paying security job at the local mall. People whispered when they saw him, and kids pointed, remembering the video. The man who once barked orders now avoided eye contact and kept his head down. He finally understood what real authority looked like. Not loud, not aggressive, but calm, focused, and earned. And he realized too late that the badge never gave him power. It only reflected who he truly was, inside. A week later, the town had settled down, but the echo of what happened still lingered. Agent Cole Matthews had wrapped up his investigation and was ready to leave. He packed his files into the SUV, checking over every detail twice. As always, outside the small-town police station, he paused and looked around one last time. Despite the chaos, the job had been done. The criminal was in custody, and the case was closed. As Cole walked to his vehicle, he passed them all across the street. Standing near the entrance, in a worn security uniform, was Bradley. He was hunched over, head down, watching the ground. For a moment, Cole considered walking past. But then he stopped. He crossed the street, walked straight up to Bradley, and looked him in the eye. "Learn from it," Cole said simply. Bradley didn't speak. He just nodded slightly, eyes heavy with regret. Cole didn't smile or gloat. There was nothing left. To prove, he turned, walked back to his SUV, and drove off without looking back. As the black vehicle disappeared down the road, Bradley stood there, feeling the weight of his choices. He thought back to the day of the stop, how sure he'd been, how blindly he'd acted. It wasn't just about losing a job. It was about losing the respect that came with it. The town had changed too. People talked less about who had the biggest badge and more about who used it right. And while Cole was gone, his quiet strength left a lasting mark. From that day on, every officer in that department remembered the lesson. Power isn't loud, and respect isn't forced. It's earned through honor, discipline, and knowing when to listen. The story ended, but the impact remained. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, comment, and share your thoughts below. Subscribe to our ancestors' dreams for more powerful and unforgettable stories.